Hello, everybody. My name is Speer. I am a musician, author, and host of tonight's show, The Healing Half. If you are watching live or watching as a replay, please let me know that you're here by giving me a hello in the comments. It always is such a blessing to see who is able to join me, whether again, live or as a replay. Tonight, we are talking about one of my favorite topics of all time, which is mental health. And I don't think you can really talk about grief without talking about mental health at the same time. So that's where the term brain peace comes from. We're gonna dive all into that tonight. But above all else, the thing about tonight's show is I wanted to share with you my mental health journey, what helps me, and I say helps because it's an ongoing conversation, as well as give you guys some wisdom with this exercise that I have put together called Brain Peace. And in fact, this is not just me talking at you. You all have access to the very workbook we are going to kind of walk through tonight. All you have to do is head to mickyspeer.com. And that is also the spot where you are going to have my weekly resource email available to sign up for that too. So if you noticed last week and you are on my list, I did have to do a little disclaimer last week. I do send out all of those emails myself. I answer all those emails and all those comments. That's me. But what that means is I'm a really bad speller. So last week in the weekly resource email, there were a couple of spelling mistakes. I apologize, but I just wanted to be upfront about it and let you know, hey, I'm not perfect. Nothing about this is perfect, but I do hope that something in that email really helps you out. So if you aren't on my email list, you get one a week packed full of information regarding the show and all the notes that we do. I really think that you're going to like it. It's not spammy. So if you haven't signed up yet, make sure you do so. So tonight, again, we are talking about mental health and we are talking about brain peace specifically. And I'm so excited to be able to share with you not only that, but also I've got a new song to share with you guys called Cold, Dark Room. So if you are able to, stick with me till the end because we're going to have some awesome time together. I can't wait to share with you all the fun stuff that I have planned for tonight. But before I dive in, I just wanted to quickly say one more time who I am, just in case you are new to the show. So my name is Speer. When I was 13, my amazing mom passed away from cancer. And I, speaking of mental health, spent the better part of a decade in total denial, pretending I was fine, and convincing other people that I was fine too. But for anybody who's gone through a traumatic loss, you know that the only way to get through grief is to go through grief, and you can't push it back and you can't pretend that you're fine for forever. So eventually my life started to crumble all around me. And it wasn't until I started to go to the counselor and read books and really lean into what does it mean to take care of our brain? What does it mean to have emotions and to honor those? That's really when the tide started to turn for me. So I wanted to create a show where we could come together for a quick half an hour every single week and be refreshed and filled with joy and energy and wisdom. So whether you are here to work on your own wounds, we talk a lot about grief on this show. So whether you yourself are grieving or anything like that, that's awesome. But then also my prayer for the show is that each one of us, through learning, become better community members. And we learn how to help people whose situations we might not understand. So hopefully for tonight, my prayer is as we talk about our brains, that you can not only recognize that in yourself, but you're also going to be hopefully a little able to give some wisdom to other people who might need it. So without further ado, let's get off with the show tonight. And we're going to kick it off a little old school. If you remember, if you've been with the show a couple times, you know that we used to do dedications each week. That's not that we don't care anymore. It's just the show has evolved. But I'm going to bring it back this week. And I see all of you on. It's so good to see you. So keep those comments coming. I hear you. I see you. But we're going to dedicate the episode to my sister, Anna, who I know is watching's cat that she had to put down this week. So if you want, please give Anna a little bit of love in the comments. This is like the artist name, Salvador Dali. He was adopted this summer, at the end of summer, by my beautiful hearted, amazing younger sister, Anna, as she went off to college. He was 12 years old, and when she adopted him. And I think, as with any time your pet's getting older, you always know that it is a possibility that they could die. But you think cats have years after 12 years old. And unfortunately, and I know we all can relate to that, right? You think you have more time. And unfortunately, this week, Anna had to put Dolly down extremely unexpectedly. He just took a really bad turn for the worse. So Anna, our heart is with you. I am so sorry that you had to do that. I know Dolly was a good friend to you in the midst of being lonesome at college, like so many freshmen were. You got to have that amazing friend. So I'm crying just thinking about it, but I'm really proud of you. And for everyone else watching, I just know Anna's not the only one who's had hard weeks. So this topic is super relevant for each and every one of us. But Anna, our hearts go out to you. Dolly was such a good cat, such a good friend. And we're thinking about you. And one of the craziest things, it's just amazing how God will kind of pop sentences out of people's mouths that they don't even realize how wise it is that they say. And one of the stories that I wanted to share with you, when I talked with Anna leading into having to put Dolly down, she said something that really just like cut me to the core. And I want to know what you guys think about it. When we were talking about perhaps having to put him down, because again, she wanted not to. She wanted to maybe rehome him to somebody who had more time, but it just wasn't an option. And one of the things that she said that just really resonated with me and the show is she said, Mickey, I don't think I'm strong enough. I don't think I can do it. And that hit hard. I mean, tell me, do you resonate with that sentence? Like, as something tragic and terrible is coming up, I think we oftentimes tell ourselves, I can't do this. There's no way I can do this. And I just wanted to share with all of us here today that it's okay if you don't feel ready. As my mom started to pass away, I wasn't ready. It wasn't like, oh, good. She had, 2 nice years. I'm ready now. You're never going to be ready. You're never going to be ready. And so in those moments where you feel like you're not strong enough and you can't, that's kind of another thing that I wanted to talk about tonight, is the importance of realizing it's okay. You're not designed to be strong enough. You're not designed to handle all of this burden on your own. I told Anna, and I hope this isn't too sadistic of a comment, but I just told her, I was like, Anna, I would be concerned if you were not scared and you were not feeling afraid about having to put your cat down. I mean, that's like serial killer 101, right? Like, if you're like not worried at all about putting down your beloved pet, I would be concerned. So we're not designed to be strong enough, but that's not something our culture tells us. From day one, we are told that crying is weak, that we should get over it, and that if we are strong enough, then we can be strong for other people. But we're told if you're not strong, then you can't be strong for others. So in a weird, twisted, roundabout way, we are raised in an environment that tells us if you care about other people, you've got to put your emotions and your mental health on the back burner, because if you're worried about yourself, there's no way you can worry about them. And I know after my mom died, I took on that mentality of, I'm fine. Nothing's wrong. I'm not sure why everyone keeps asking about that. I don't need help. And all this random crying that I do all the time whenever things kind of push me over the emotional edge, that's nothing. I'm fine. Obviously, I wasn't fine. And what I really didn't understand at that time, and what I hope that we can all come together and learn tonight, is the importance of mental health. I think just give me an amen or a yes or a no if you agree. I think our culture values physical health a whole lot more than mental health. Think about it. I mean, do you agree with that statement? Do you feel like you have a lot more resources and a lot more talk about weight loss and fitness and when you're sick versus your brain? I know I sure do. And when I think about mental health, I get some really negative, again, nobody like specifically told me that, it's just stuff that you pick up, that I just get this voice, this evil voice saying, you should be strong enough to control your own brain. That's kind of the mantra going around right now, right? Yeah, control your mind, control your life. And there's a time and a place to be motivated. But that's really guilt inducing when you're struggling mentally. So what I wanted to do is talk tonight about the big overarching question of, how do I know when I should go to the doctor to get help? If you, heaven forbid, were walking outside your house right now and slipped on a little bit of ice and you fell on your arm, you would probably have a protocol in your mind on exactly what it would look like if you needed to go to the doctor. You'd probably wait a little bit, put a little ice on it, see how it goes, and in the morning, feel it out. And then for whatever reason, when you cross that line, then you'll decide, okay, my wrist might be broken. But we oftentimes don't have those steps for our brain. And even though I can sit here and preach, go to the counselor, go to the counselor, go to the counselor all day long, because I'm a firm believer in that. And again, for a disclaimer, not a doctor. This is just my journey, my help, hopefully for you. But I firmly believe we all need to be talking to doctors about our mental health, but it's really hard to know when that is. And when you're having a tough week, as the title calls it, brain peace on tough weeks. It's a loose rhyme, but it kind of works. That's the songwriter in me being like, it kind of works. A brain peace on tough weeks. It's hard to know, am I just having a bad week? Or is there something bigger than that? Is there something more wrong that I need help with? And unfortunately, a lot of times people don't know where to go with that information, and they go back to those old lies, the ones that I bought into for 10 years that said, you're fine, control your brain, control your life, you're going to be okay. So if any of those are resonating with you, please let me know, because I know I've got a lot of those grunky, stupid lies in the back of my head. But we can't talk about grief if we don't talk about mental health. It's all here, right? Our brain is by far the most important thing in the world. So let's dive in a little bit to my new journey, my new checklist on what I go through in order to tell, am I taking care of my brain? Am I doing everything I need to do? And if I'm doing all of that stuff and I'm still not feeling good, that's a good sign that I need to go get help. And just a disclaimer, I go to the counselor. I thoroughly enjoy it. It's great for me. Everybody's going to be different and have a different need on what they need. But just know, my hope is that after you check off these things and you realize there's stuff that you can do to enhance your life, but also please keep your counselor in the loop. That is the most important thing I want you to take away, is that they are there to help. There is no shame going to the counselor. And if I can get an amen for that in the comment section, I would love to hear that. So let's dive in to brain peace, which is both a title that we strive for, right? Who doesn't want to be at peace in their brain? I know I sure do. It's a lot of work, but it's a good goal to shoot for. But also it's an acronym. And I came up with this. Let's see. This exact booklet is available to you on my website. So if you're on my email list, you've got access to this. What it is an acronym. And we're just going to go step by step. So feel free to grab a pen and paper and really think about this too. Or you can just print off when you get time. Then it gives you a chance to really list, okay, what does it mean for me to do all of these acronym things? And then last but not least, you guys, if you know me, you know I'm a reflection gal. It gives us a space to be able to dive in and to reflect and really take a moment to ask ourselves, am I taking care of my mental health? Am I loving myself enough to understand coasting and scraping by isn't the life I want to have? My recent journey is I moved to New Mexico temporarily. I'll be back in Minnesota in May. And because of COVID and everything in the move, I just didn't see my counselor for a couple months. And I kind of, obviously, you'll go get to the punch of the story here in a minute. But I started to kind of revert back to my old ways. And I said, you know what? I think I'm fine. And for a little bit, I was. But then eventually, March 15th came around. I think last week I told you about my frustration story. And I was just getting really irritable, abnormally irritable. And I was getting anxious about a bunch of things. And I realized, oh my gosh, I need to practice what I preach. So I sent an email out to my old counselor and I said, hey, you're doing televisits. I'm in Albuquerque. Is that a way? Can we get in touch? And I just am so glad that I had the background to be able to recognize that, because a lot of people, it's okay if you don't, a lot of people don't know how to recognize their own symptoms like we do recognize I'm getting the flu. I'm getting a cold, or heaven forbid, I'm getting COVID, right? We are really good at checking those symptoms off and knowing what to do there, but we're not so sure when we have really hard weeks, what to do there. So let's dive in together. Grab a pen and paper again. This is my, let me see here. Okay. Shoot, my thing isn't, I don't want to refresh my page because I don't want to lose you guys. Damn it. Give me 1 second. My computer is taking its dear sweet time as we come here. So give me 1 moment. Okay. Thank you so much for your patience. In this interlude, how has your week been? You have anything fun coming up? I'd love to hear you again. I go through each and every comment that people post, and I look afterwards. So if you are watching, whether live or as a replay, please let me know. I want to make sure that that I know that you're here. For heaven's sakes. Well, for whatever reason, my computer is not wanting to do what I want it to do and share this nice graphic that I have for you. So instead, we're just going to go the old-fashioned way, and I'm just going to hold it up. So starting off with a brain piece, we'll start off on the brain, which is B stands for be mindful. When I talk about being mindful, I'm talking about being quiet. We live in a world that is packed full of go, 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 go. Our attention span is at the lowest point it's ever been in history. And our brain, though, isn't catching up with this technology. Our brain is still the normal being that it was 30 years ago before all this technology. So being able to actually pause and not have any thoughts, intentionally be present and be mindful, that's going to be a huge game changer. I know for me, I have this free app. I'm not paid to promote it. It's just something I would like to tell you about. It's called the Breathe app. And from there, you just said, I want to breathe for 10 minutes or however long. And it just has these nice clicks. And it tells you when to breathe in and when to breathe out. And that has helped me tremendously. I've got a lot of anxiety, and this has really helped. So the first part of brain piece is be mindful. The second one is restrict screen time. And I'm aware of the fact that you're watching this on a screen right now, but hopefully what restrict screen time means is that you have boundaries surrounding when your phone can be on, and when you're on your laptop, when you're on your TV, and hopefully you have some set hours around that. And you say, okay, like I'm going to be done, lights out, technology-wise at 8:30 or whatever it is for you. It's really important that we understand our brain, again, those blue lights coming through, the constant ads and everything that happens on social media, that's draining. That's taking its toll on our body. And we have to recognize that this is not natural. For some of you, you remember back in the 80s where you left your house and you left your house. Like there was no way to get in touch with you until you got to your next location. For people like my sister, Anna, again, who we talked about earlier, she was born into the generation of go, 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 always connected. And that's dangerous. We know it's dangerous. The statistics are proving that it's dangerous. So it's really important that we set some boundaries on screen time. And then when we have our little timer go off, truly shut it down, pick up the old book and get to bed. And I think that's been super helpful for me. The next one for our acronym is A for attitude of gratitude. And the person who is going to be on the show next week is actually who helped me design this thing. And he's called the Gratitude Guy. He tours the whole country going around and talking with companies, massive companies, governments, and everything about the power of gratitude. So when you are having a hard week and you are just, man, struggling to just get out of that hump, and I've been there, I was there just a week ago, try to just pause after doing, BRA, get to the A, and think of just 3 things that you're grateful for. So in the comments right now, let's just practice it. What are 3 things that you're grateful for, and really feel that gratefulness. And if you're interested in more about the attitude of gratitude, we did an episode several months ago about when it's hard to be grateful. So if you are struggling to be grateful, which I understand all of this, all these emotions. I am not preaching at you. I'm talking with you. When it's hard to be grateful, go back and reference that video. I think that would be really beneficial if you're struggling with that. The next one for our BRAIN acronym is to increase sleep. This is so important. We hear 7 to 8 hours a night, but do we actually do 7 to 8 hours? And of course, what if you can't sleep? What if you're struggling with sleep? That's, again, pointing us back to going to our doctor and talking about it, because a healthy brain wants to recharge and reset at night. It's crucial we get REM sleep. However, if you are struggling with depression, if you are struggling with anxiety, grief, all those things, that's not going to let you sleep very well. I'm the first to admit that. There have been many nights I've been up till 3 a.m. spinning my wheels, which is why we need to loop our medical professionals back in and recognize, wait a second, I'm not able to get 7 to 8 hours. That's a red flag. I need to go talk to somebody about that. So I know we wish we could all get more sleep, but it is really important to put on our priority. And then the last thing that we're going to talk about with the brain part is no negative people. Again, head to my email list. Make sure you get your own copy of this so you don't have to remember all of this. But when you're thinking of brain peace, it's right on your fingers, right? You can count to all 10 of them. BRAINPEACE. Brain peace. When we talk about no negative people, that doesn't mean cut anybody out who ever confronts you in love and disagrees with something you say. No. Part of being in a relationship with anybody is there's going to be ups and downs. What we mean, what David Brooke and I mean when we say no negative people is the ones that you are constantly giving and you're not getting anything back. They are drains. They are focused only on their problems all the time. And I know we all know people like that, right? But yet we think, oh, it's the loving thing to do. And you keep giving and you keep giving and you keep giving, and it drains you and it drains you and it drains you. I'm here to give you permission that it's okay if you set some boundaries around that. You don't have to necessarily break up with them per se, but you do not have to have every single person in your life that wants to be in your life. You can have boundaries and you can say, I can be loving towards this person. When I interact with them, I can be nice, but I don't have to dedicate a bunch of time to them. I don't have to play their game. If they just sit there and they complain all the time, that's going to weigh down on you pretty hard. If your only thing that you talk about with this person is like, oh my gosh, my job sucks and the world's against me and everything like that, that's a heavy burden as a friend to carry. And so it's important that you kind of look at that and just be like, okay, I need to maybe set some boundaries, because if the people I'm keeping close to me are pulling me down, it's going to be really hard to have a healthy mental health. And of course, what a good check for us to make sure some checks and balances to make sure we're not being that way to other people. And that's not to say don't share your grief or share your honest things, but it's also being aware of what they call, Colleen talked about it on my show, grief fatigue or compassion fatigue, right? So if you are struggling, that's okay. This is all about being okay with needing help. Remember, one person doesn't want to carry your load. That's why we talk to multiple people. We have multiple teammates that we go to, whether it's a counselor, a friend, a parent, a sibling, a child, whatever. You've got lots of people that you can share that with. So you don't have just one person that you're kind of laying it all on. So the next one is we're going to talk about the peace part. So the first one is passions and hobbies. Another thing to go through your checklist when you're having a tough week. And this is what I literally did a week ago when I was really down and I couldn't figure out why. I asked myself, when was the last time I just got my guitar out and played? I love guitar. I love writing music. And I can get so wrapped up. I can get so wrapped up in the business side that I forget to have fun. And it's really, really important for each and every one of us to understand that part of our mental health and like having a good time is leaning into those passions and hobbies. And I hate to tell you, I don't consider watching TV a hobby, and neither should you. So get outside. What do you love to do? It's different for each one of you. And that's the beauty of this packet is on page 2 and 3, you have a spot to write, what does a passion look like for you? What does a hobby look like for you? Is it volunteering? Is it skateboarding? Is it going for a walk with your dog? What is it that you are passionate about? And how can you infuse more of that into your life? The last 4, we're getting right down to it. This isn't necessarily the funnest one, but it's E for the peace, for exercise every day. And I don't mean you have to go to CrossFit. Trust me, I do not also do that. But it's important to move your body. There's a lot of studies out there that talk about how when we are moving, endorphins are released. So if we want to have a healthy week and we want to be a little happier, let's go for a walk. Let's go watch a YouTube video on a 5-minute stretching routine. Just something to get the blood moving just a little bit and get off the couch, which trust me, I'm glued to that couch more than I'd like to admit. But it is, I can just tell on days that I just spend 5 minutes moving my mental, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm not maybe as sad as I thought I was today. The A in the piece is acknowledge emotions. Oh my gosh, that's literally the thesis of the healing half is lean into your emotions as they come along. And don't forget, if one of the emotions that you or someone you love is going through is grief, I've got a book right here that you can go and you can dive right in. And when emotions come up, you have an outlet for that. But I think when we're talking about brain peace and mental health, recognizing that our emotions are valuable. I told myself for 10 years, your little hiccups that you have when people ask you a question and you start to cry, that's a problem and you should feel bad about that. And I was really hard on myself because I didn't allow myself to be emotional. I didn't allow myself to be a human, which is sometimes I'm angry. Sometimes I'm sad. Sometimes I'm really frustrated. Like last week after, with my mom's angelversary, there's a lot of stuff that I'm just not, or that I used to not allow myself to process. So as far as acknowledge emotions, I know you can't do that at the drop of a hat. Oftentimes it's not the place at the grocery store to process it, but make a note of it, go home, shut your door and say, okay, I'm feeling really frustrated today. Why? What am I frustrated about? And just get your emotion out. Give it some daylight, give it some time. And I assure you 9 times out of 10, after you process whatever's bubbling up to the surface, you're going to feel this wave crash down over you where you're going to feel so much more at peace. After I journaled with my frustrations during last week on my mom's angelversary, I felt a sense of peace I can't even explain. I was so much more accepting, but I had to get through it. I had to go through it in order for it to go, to get to that peace. So that's, again, you got to acknowledge your emotions as they come up. C, community connection. Just like with the story at the beginning with Anna saying, I'm not strong enough to do this. None of us are strong enough to do life on our own. We have to be part of a community. And I know COVID has made that hard, but there's Zoom, there's social media, there's distance walks, there's phone calls like the old-fashioned way. There's a lot of ways to have genuine, real connection with the people you love. And I would encourage you to remember that, as much as I love your comments, so keep them coming. I so do appreciate it. Commenting on a Facebook post is probably, it's getting there, but I would say actually talking to somebody, actually having a conversation, a back and forth live, whether it's again a phone call or a face-to-face over technology, that's where the real connection is going to go. That's that community. But then also let's take it a step further beyond just our people. What about our whole world? What about your community is pulling at your heartstrings? There's a lot of homeless people. Maybe that's a passion of yours and you want to help your community. Maybe you're into animals and you want to help homeless animals in your community. Whatever it is, that's kind of a mix of the passions, hobbies, community connection. Being part of something bigger than yourself is always going to help you feel better. And then last but certainly not least, eliminate junk food and inputs, junk inputs. And I'm not even going to really go into junk inputs. I'll let you kind of connect the dots on that one. But basically, is what we are consuming good for us? I'm not saying never enjoy food again or never grab a cookie or anything like that. But remembering that sugar is a drug, right? Sugar is addictive. Sugar makes you feel really good and then you come really far down. So if you're already having a rough week and you're already struggling, having more sugar might feel really great in the moment, but in the long run, that's not a real solution. And I know for myself, I've done lots of work to try and be healthier. And I can just say, I used food as a crutch. So again, recognizing all of that is great to go to the counselor with and saying like, hey, when I get stressed out, I go and I reach for something. I feel really good after that. But I kind of crash later on and I feel really guilty then after that point. So it's important that we really lean into our relationship with food, especially junk food, and find a way to have a nice, healthy relationship with it and not lean on it too much to make us feel better. So that's brain peace, you guys. Let me know what your thoughts are. My big thing is, again, my hope and my prayer is that this is something you can have in your back pocket when, like me, if you're going through a hard week and you're just like, man, I am struggling and I can't tell if I should get help. Go through brain peace and just ask yourself, okay, am I being mindful? Am I setting boundaries for screen time? Am I, reducing my junk food? Am I calling my parents like I said I would? All this stuff, and you go through this checklist. And if you're doing all of that, if you're doing all of that, and you're still struggling, please know that it's not your fault, and you should absolutely go get help. I love it. I love the counselor, and I think all of this is really connected with grief. So that's Brain Peace. Head to my website to get your own copy, as well as join on next week when we have the gratitude guy jump on with us. He's going to dive a lot more into gratitude next week. And again, we're so lucky to have him because he's like a world-renowned speaker and he's willing to come on my show, which is just really exciting. So before we head out, I just wanted to share with you guys a song that I have coming up. It's called Cold Dark Room. And as with all things mental health related, I just want you guys to know you don't have to do it alone. This song is exactly designed to help us realize that sometimes the best thing we can do is just be there. Just listen. Just be with somebody who's struggling and not push anything on them or try to make it better. And so my other two songs, See Me and Light a Candle, those are saying from the perspective of someone who passed away, but this is from the perspective of a friend. So I'm just going to share with you the little intro and get through the first chorus. It's not going to be the full song, but let me know what you think. This is going to be my next release. So I just wanted to share it with you guys first. I know you're seeing black and you don't know where to go. And the pain is seeping slowly into your bones. There's not a whole lot I can do, but I can sit with you in this cold, dark room. There are no magic words that can take away the hurt. The sun may be hiding and there's no silver lining, but together we'll make it through. And I will sit with you in this cold, dark room. Yeah, I will sit with you in this cold, dark room. So no matter what you came into the show with this week, I just want to let you know that you are loved, you are valuable, and above all else, I am here for you. So please, please, please get on my weekly resource email. I want to make sure you get all the notes and everything from tonight. And if you feel called, I do have a Google a Google business. I don't know how to describe it other than that. And you can actually review the show. So if you do enjoy Mickey Speer's show or my books or my music, please feel free to leave a 5-star review if you want. That helps Google kind of share it with more people. And if you don't want to, that's okay too. Just wanted to let you know that that's an option. Thank you all so very much for being here tonight. Let me know what you think of the song, and I'll go check out those comments here in a bit. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.